Break it all down, distinguished professor at Truro University, Thane Rosenbaum, plus prosecutor and Newsmax columnist Wendy Patrick. Great to have you both with us here. Thane, frame this up for us because there are a lot of, again, we're using the word nuances, lots of nuances here too. Break it down for us.
So, Katrina, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act says you can't discriminate on the basis of religion and race and nationality. And here's a guy who says you're discriminating against me because I can't deliver mail on Sunday. The Postal Service is saying we're going out of business. If we don't start delivering mail on Sunday for Amazon, we're done. Secondly, it's not fair to other employees who are not religious. And remember, the government is not supposed to favor one religion over non-religion. You're saying it's not fair to not religious employees to make them work on Sundays twice because you never want to work on Sundays. So this, in a way, pitted unions against religious groups. But this Supreme Court, in the last several years, I was on your show last year, remember the football coach who wanted to say a prayer at the end of the game, the Catholic adoption agency in Philadelphia. We're seeing that this Supreme Court is very sympathetic to religious liberty. They will choose in a balancing test religious liberty other than other fundamental rights. And in this case, they basically said the rule is that you have to accommodate a person's religious practices, but the law had been if the employer feels even a de minimis hardship, they can ignore it. And the Supreme Court said 9-0, no way. You can't ignore it. You have your obligation is to find a way to accommodate that person to practice their religion. And you cannot get away with simply saying, we have other employees that are complaining about it. Sorry, we can't help you.
Right. Yeah, and by the way, this employee, when he took the job with the post office, they weren't delivering on Sundays. Then suddenly they were, and he's like, well, one of the reasons I had the job.
He didn't sign up for that.
Wendy, your thoughts?
You know, Bob, that's what I was going to lead off with. Adding to everything else that all of you have discussed, you have this false choice, your faith or your finances. And this man, having come fresh off of the mission field, chose a profession that wasn't open on Sunday. I mean, people that don't want to work Sundays because that's their day of faith shouldn't have to choose between Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A. There should be other options, and especially government options. It wasn't until the last 5 or 6 years that Amazon really had a corner on a market in terms of 7 days a week, 24/7, delivering packages. Remember, for this plaintiff, for a while it worked out okay in covering shifts, but then it just got to be too much. So you add to the unfairness, the sympathy. By the way, 9-0, when is the last time you saw a 9-0 opinion on one of these hot button issues like religion? So that just goes to show you this was a circumstance where they looked at, well, what does de minimis really mean? What kind of an undue hardship are we talking about? And you have to believe, at least it must have factored somewhere, that this also wasn't fair because this man's selectivity in choosing someplace where he wouldn't have to work on Sunday should have played a role as well.
All right, very well said. Wendy Patrick, Thane Rosenbaum, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, a lot of